This course will show you how to construct arguments for your assignments, articles, essays, exams, and presentations. Constructing robust and strong arguments is crucial to improve your grades and enhance the quality of your academic work. This course consists of 4 lectures. Lecture 1, Building a Basic Argument. Lecture 2, The However Factor. Lecture 3, There Could Only Be One. Lecture 4, The Magic Number. This first lecture will define an argument and also show you how to build a basic argument. We will start slowly, then add complexity as we go along. An argument is a point of view supported with evidence. Simply put, you state a point of view, then you strengthen this point of view with evidence. It is essential that you fortify your point of view with evidence. If you do not strengthen your point of view with evidence, then it is just a point of view. It is just an opinion. It is just hearsay. Tesla is successful because it relies on direct sales and service. Without evidence, this statement is just an opinion. It is meaningless. It has no basis. Arsenal is the most successful football club in London. Without evidence, this statement is just an opinion. It is meaningless. It has no basis. Where can you find evidence to support your point of view? Journal articles are a great source of evidence. Also, you can find evidence in academic textbooks, edited volumes, government reports, and websites of reputable organizations. When you bring evidence to support a point of view, this is a productive process because you are bringing evidence from journal articles, evidence from textbooks, evidence from government reports. You are bringing all of this evidence from multiple sources into one cohesive paragraph. This is the key thing. You are bringing all of this evidence into one place. A metaphor for this is a painter who uses different paints to produce one picture, or a manufacturing plant using different raw materials to create one finished product. Likewise, you will use different evidence to create a single argument. The basic argument structure consists of 3 parts. The introduction sentence. This is the opening sentence that gives an overview of the entire argument. It is vital to give an overview so that the reader is aware of the argument. If you jump straight to the evidence, the reader may not be aware of what you are doing. So the introduction sentence gently holds the hand of the reader and escorts them to the argument. Evidence sentences. These sentences are the quotes or paraphrases taken from books, articles, or reports. This part is crucial because it offers support to your claim. Without this evidence part, the introduction sentence is just an opinion. It is just hearsay. It is meaningless. You need evidence sentences. Moreover, this demonstrates to the marker that you have read the literature. Verdict sentence. This is the closing sentence where you give a verdict about the evidence. After you provide the evidence sentences, you should try to provide a verdict. This is done for 2 reasons. First, the verdict follows the evidence. Only when you present the evidence can you give a verdict. Second, you have entered university, so you are an academic now. You are no longer a normal citizen. As an academic, you are expected to read the evidence, then express a verdict. Also, the verdict sentence concludes the argument. We want to make sure that whenever we produce an argument, we conclude it. We want to tie up all the loose ends. We want to make it clear where we stand. So these are the 3 parts of an argument: introduction sentence, evidence sentence, verdict sentence. These 3 parts come together to form one paragraph. Here is a metaphor to describe this argument. The intro sentence is the top layer of the sandwich. The evidence sentences are the filling of the sandwich. This is the meat of the sandwich, the most tasty part of the sandwich, and the bottom layer of the sandwich is the verdict sentence. Your argument will resemble this sandwich. So here is an example. I have color coded this example to make it easier to understand. Please do not color your work. This is just for instructional purposes. Canada is one of the best countries in the world. This first part of the argument is green. This is an introduction sentence expressing a point of view. Just by reading this introduction sentence, I know what the whole paragraph is about. But we need more than just this introduction sentence, because this introduction sentence is just an opinion. Canada is one of the best countries in the world. It's just an opinion. It is just hearsay. It is just somebody's point of view. So in purple, we add the second part, the evidence sentences. The evidence for Canada being one of the best countries in the world. These evidence sentences support the introduction sentence. The work of Smith and Kahn, 2007, is used to highlight that Canada has an excellent healthcare system. Also, the work of Gabriel, 2010, is used to support the idea that Canada has a high standard of education. Both of these pieces of evidence are used to prove that Canada is a desirable place to live because it has a good healthcare system and a high standard of education. These purple evidence sentences are crucial to gain high marks and improve the quality of your work. The more evidence you can show in your writing, the higher your grades will be. Finally, we provide the verdict sentence. The verdict sentence states what we have decided about the evidence. It shows where we stand. Here is another color-coded example. The Arthur system of teaching has consistently brought positive results. Do not begin your paragraph with evidence sentences. For example, do not begin your paragraph with Crookendorey, 2002, produced a series of studies. Instead, you should always begin with an introduction sentence. When you begin your paragraphs or arguments with an introduction sentence, you make it easier for the person reading your work. The person reading your work will understand the reason for your evidences. Whereas, if you begin your paragraphs with the evidences, you may confuse the person reading the work. They may wonder, why are they mentioning Crookendorey 2002? What is the reason that they are using Crookendorey 2002? What are they trying to prove using Crookendorey 2002? So make sure every paragraph or argument begins with an introduction sentence. Finally, the verdict sentence summarizes the argument and states what we have decided about the evidence. In a way, the verdict sentence is our final say on the matter. So our verdict was that the Arthur system of teaching has consistently brought positive results. I use for such reasons, but you can say therefore, thus, consequently, as a result, hence, this is why, and so on. In summary, you should start the paragraph with your voice. The introduction sentence is your voice. Do not start the paragraph with their voice, with evidence sentences. When you start a paragraph with evidence sentences, you are not starting with your voice. You are starting with the voice of others. When you start with your voice, this shows confidence, ownership, and mastery. You are demonstrating that you are in control of the debate. You are the puppet master. Hi everyone, welcome back. In the previous lecture, we looked at a basic argument structure. In this lecture, we will look at a more complicated argument structure entitled the however factor. This is the most common argument structure that you will see in articles, assignments, and even reports. So, this argument structure will begin with an explanation of a point of view. Explain the point of view. Explain this point of view fully. Give a nice and concise overview of this point of view. Try to imagine that the person reading your work has no idea about this point of view. So simplify this point of view. Make it easy to understand. So, this is a point of view. Zero tolerance policing is considered to be a proactive and assertive policing method. This is the point of view from a scholar. After you complete this point of view, this is followed by the second part, the transition word. The transition word here is however, but you can also say nevertheless, alternatively, in contrast. This transition word is used to signal that you will bring an alternative point of view. Don't just bring an alternative point of view straight away. Make sure you use a transition word first. This transition word signals that you are going to bring an opposing point of view. Markers really appreciate these transition words. However, alternatively, contrastingly, because they can anticipate that you are about to bring another point of view. Markers like to see opposing points of view. They want to see some dichotomy. They want to see some drama or tension between these points of view. After the transition words, you bring an alternative point of view. An alternative point of view must be different or challenge the first point of view. Explain this alternative point of view fully. Give a concise overview of this alternative point of view. Try to imagine that the person reading your work has no idea about this alternative point of view. So simplify this point of view and make it easy to understand. After the alternative point of view comes the verdict sentence. You have already presented a point of view and you presented an alternative point of view, so now you need to write a verdict sentence. Which point of view is stronger to you? Explain why you believe it's stronger. It is important that you state which point of view is the strongest to you to demonstrate your critical thinking. If you only present a point of view and an alternative point of view, this is just descriptive. You are just describing what you have read. You are describing two opposing points of view. You are describing what other people have said. You are just a bystander. You are just a spectator. But we do not want to be a bystander. We do not want to be a spectator. We want to be involved. We want to be in the mix. We want to be a participant. So we need to offer a verdict sentence. So which point of view is most accurate? Which point of view is the strongest? Which point of view do you agree with? There's no right or wrong answer here. It really depends on which point of view you prefer and how you can justify your preference. There are many ways to justify one point of view over another point of view. You may select a point of view because it is the most up to date. So maybe a situation has changed. So one of the point of views reflects this change and the other point of view is outdated. You may select a point of view because it has the strongest evidence. Perhaps you notice that a point of view has more evidence than the other point of view, or the evidence is stronger than the other. Or one point of view uses primary evidence. This makes it superior to the other point of view, which merely uses secondary evidence. Or you choose a point of view that is the most popular in the academic literature. This is a valid justification for choosing one point of view over another point of view. When reading academic journals, you notice that many scholars adopt a particular point of view. So you want to align yourself with this scholarship. You do not want to be the only voice alone out there in the wilderness. You want to join the conversation. So we have here a point of view, transition word, alternative point of view, and a verdict. This is a very simple formula. I liken this structure to a puppet show. You are the puppet master. You put one point of view against another point of view and you let both of them fight one another. You control the puppet show and you show your control by giving a verdict after you present each point of view. Here is a color-coded example. The first point of view is in green. In this argument, Johnson 2016 states his approach to motivation. This is just an example, so I've summarized Johnson's argument. But in your work, you need to explain the argument more fully. Take your time, expand the argument. Then we have the crucial transition word in purple. However, this however signals the transition towards an alternative point of view. The alternative point of view is in red. Once again, I have summarized this argument just to show an example. You should expand the alternative point of view. Then we have a verdict in black. You should try to expand your verdict to show that you have thought deeply about this and you have thought deeply about which point of view is the best. I've just summarized the verdict for this example. You should try to flesh out this verdict sentence. Welcome back. In this lecture, we will look at an argument structure entitled "There Can Only Be One." This is a very simple argument structure, but it is very effective. In the first part of the argument, you provide a summary of definitions that you have taken from the literature. In most subjects, there are a number of definitions for just one concept, or just one model, or just one theory. For example, scholars have defined the concept of community in over 70 ways. Yes, 70 ways. So, in the first part of the argument, you provide an overview of 2, 3, 4, or 5 definitions. This shows the marker that you are aware of the various definitions in the literature. You have not just read one source. Instead, you have shown the marker that you have read widely and have gathered some of the most prominent definitions. To find multiple definitions, please enroll in my other course, Critical Research and Reading. After you provide a summary of definitions, you should select one of these definitions and explain why you selected that one definition. You should justify why you selected that one definition. By selecting one of the definitions and explaining why you selected it, you have demonstrated your critical analysis skills. If you only provide a summary of definitions, you are just being passive. You are just being a spectator. You are just accepting what you have been given. But when you select one of these definitions from the summary and explain why you selected it, then you are showing confidence. You are showing discernment. You are showing judgment. Regarding the explanation why, think about the reason why you selected a specific definition over other definitions. What is it about that one definition that made you select it? Perhaps you selected a definition over other definitions because it was the most modern or the most up-to-date. Perhaps you selected a definition because it was the most relevant for your assignment needs. Perhaps you selected a definition because it was the most comprehensive. Or the opposite. Perhaps you selected a definition because it was the most specific. Perhaps you selected a definition because it is the most popular and accepted definition. You are following the consensus. Perhaps you selected a definition because it incorporates race, gender, or class, or age, or neurodiversity. Perhaps you selected a definition because it offers more clarity. Other definitions may have been too ambiguous. Whatever reason you choose, make sure you make your reason explicit. Here's an example from a student. In the green introduction sentence, the student acknowledges that there are many definitions of health inequality. In red, the student states Jones' definition of inequality. In purple, the student states James's definition of health inequality. And in blue, the student states O'Hara's definition of health inequality. Now we have 3 definitions of health inequality from 3 different scholars, one in red, one in purple, one in blue. Now in black, the student selects O'Hara's definition and explain why they selected O'Hara's definition. The student selected O'Hara's definition because the definition incorporated a systemic definition of health inequalities. Perhaps he felt that the other definitions did not incorporate the systemic origin of health inequalities. Another color-coded example from a student. In the green introduction sentence, the student states that human capital has acquired several definitions. Then a student summarizes Schultz's definition of human capital in red. Then a student summarizes Bonte's definition of human capital in purple. Then a student summarizes Thomas's definition in blue. Now we have 3 definitions from 3 different scholars, one in red, one in purple, one in blue. Now in black, the student selects Thomas's 2013 definition and explains why they selected it. Welcome back. In this lecture, we will look at an argument structure entitled The Magic Number. Once again, This is a very simple argument structure, but it is very effective. The magic number argument structure is placing similar argument points together in a numerical list. This makes your argument stronger because you bring together all your related argument points under one umbrella. Even if your arguments are not particularly strong, when you bring them together, you increase their strength. Our individual fingers may be weak by themselves, but when we put them into a fist, they become stronger. Also, when we place similar argument points together in a numerical list, we show the marker that we are able to organize our work in a cohesive and structured way. When you present your arguments in this way, it demonstrates that you are able to give an overview of arguments. Let's take a look at an example of the magic number. In this example, the introduction sentence in green states that there are two issues. The author has found two issues with the reliability of focus group interviewing. It is good to start this type of argument by clearly stating the amount of issues that you will discuss. Then the author proceeds to list the issues. The first issue is paraphrased from a scholar named Jones. This is just an example, so it is a very brief summary of Jones's critique of focus group interviewing. Such a brief summary is not suitable for your assignment. You should always try to expand your critiques. The second issue is paraphrased from Hamid. Once again, Hamid's critique of focus group interviewing has been summarized in just a few words. You need to expand this in your assignment. There are only two issues discussed here, one from Hamid, one from Jones. But in your assignment, you can bring together 3 issues or even 4 issues. Do not go beyond 5 or 6 because it can become tedious and tiresome. This is a great way to organize your arguments. Take a look at these examples. Paragraph 1 is using the magic number approach. Paragraph 2 is not using the magic number approach. Both paragraphs are essentially the same, but paragraph 1 is using the magic number and paragraph 2 is not. You can see that paragraph 1 looks more organized and better structured. Just by adding a few words and numbering the arguments, it makes your work look more organized. But paragraph 2 looks like a mixed shopping list of criticisms. There doesn't seem to be any relationship between the critique, unlike paragraph 1, which brings the critique all together under one roof or under one umbrella.